I'm just kidding, guys. Gina told me to do that. It works fine. Gina, I did as you told. Was that funny? Thank you. I'm really honored to be here. I'm excited. Rashika, where are you? There you are. She's the reason I'm here. I was driving down Al Khail Road. The phone was ringing. I had to pull over to the side. She kept contacting me. We ended up having a half-hour conversation about this event, and it's everything you said it would be and more. So thank you very much. I had to change my presentation because of some things that she said. Break the mold, break the mold, break the mold. That kept resonating in my head because coming from the US healthcare system, where the mold had been created a long time ago and it has ossified over the years, that mold definitely needs to be broken. However, the reason I live in Dubai is not to break a mold, but actually those words reminded me of a quote from Buckminster Fuller that you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So I'd like to modify the break the mold a little bit into something other than maybe not break the mold, but make the mold. And that's what we have the opportunity to do, not just here in Dubai, but as I'll show you in the whole region. The origin of healthcare. I'm here today to be a fortune teller, right? I'm here to be a fortune teller, right, predicting the future, about an art, right? Medicine, the origin of medicine. Any doctors here? Doctors in the room? Oh, this is great. I can say whatever I want. That is so cool, because normally I speak to a bunch of doctors and they always call me out on my nonsense. Okay, but the origin of medicine, if you go back to all the way in the beginning, it started with magic and it started with religion. That is where medicine and education for the most part came from. Right? So I'm here today as a fortune teller to predict the future of magicians. This should be kind of fun. Now, my credibility, what's my street cred for being able to do this? That this woman, this beautiful woman, is before you laugh, she's my great-great-great-grandmother, Moretti. She is a Cherokee Indian medicine woman, right? And the majority of what she did was probably magical. There were herbs and roots and some things that actually had medicinal qualities, but there was also a lot of shamanism and magic and things. So that's my DNA, so I get to come up here and do some soothsaying for you. Now, if you want to, I'm not going to talk about genomics. I'll talk a little bit about AI, but if you want to really read a really great book about the future from a technology side of medicine, this Snappy Dresser. This book is excellent. I highly recommend it. For my presentation, originally what I was going to do was just copy stuff out of the book and then just say it to you guys. But I figure you can just read the book yourself and I won't have to do that. So I'm going to talk about stuff that's probably not in books, and I have 11 minutes and 15 seconds to do that. Healthcare today. This is the mold. Now, this isn't the mold here yet. This is the mold in Europe. This is the mold in the US. This is healthcare. It's confusing. It's mysterious. We pretend to understand it. Like, I've been in healthcare my whole life. I don't understand anything. I don't understand how airplanes fly, right? Airplane ticket prices or healthcare, really how it doesn't work. It's not transparent. Costs are going up. There's uneven access. Compared to all other industries, the performance in healthcare, the failure rates, the waiting times, whatever performance metric you want to use, compare the other industries. We are terrible. I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. But today, in the next 10 minutes, where are we going? Where is healthcare going? Now, I'm not a futurist. right? I mean, there are people who make it their livelihoods, and some people speaking today, and other people that will speak about the futurist and predicting the future and all that. That's not me, right? That I'm an entrepreneur, and I went off on that path so I could create the future because I'm a little bit insecure. I don't want to be sitting around waiting for the future to happen to me. So I kind of went off on my own path with some of my team that are sitting right over there, hi gang, to create our own future, and that's how we ended up here in Dubai. So I have 7, is that 7? That's 7, right? Thank you. I just wanted to toss in some Arabic to seem kind of cool. I speak no Arabic, I'm horrible about that. I speak some Swedish, my wife is Swedish, that's irrelevant. Number 1, medical education will be democratized. Historically, medical education has been primarily an elite men's club. The days of that are over. Now, I can't get into each of my predictions in depth of why I feel this way, but afterwards, anyone who wants to get together emails or chatting or a Slack group or whatever, be happy to go into all of this. But globally, we are already seeing a democratization of all forms of education, whether it's with MOOCs or with different online Coursera-type programs. This is slowly coming into medical education, and I'm going to end today with showing you one of the projects we've been doing in Africa in this area. So it's going to be from an elite men's club to medical education for everyone. In the area of diagnostics, and diagnostics are the foundation of healthcare delivery. So this is why I'm pausing a bit, really important, so make that pause where everyone goes, and? For medical diagnostics, it's algorithms. That guy that spoke earlier, Tamne, he was awesome. I need to get him working on this stuff. Algorithms, pattern recognition, information retrieval and comparison, all of this is better done by computers. Not maybe, it's better done by computers. So all medical diagnostics in the future will be done by computers. So if you have a friend who's going to be a radiologist or a pathologist or one of those things, tell them, don't do it. This is the one, I'm glad there are no doctors here, this is great, because there will be no doctors. Yes, that's why they're not here. Now, I'm not saying that you're all going to be treated by robots. I'm saying that there's not going to be doctors. That what we will have is we will have, instead of a small number of highly paid, a bit arrogant doctors, we're going to have a large number of empathetic caregivers. So basically, if you could think of a nurse, but like a super nurse, right, that's augmented with AI, this is what we'll end up. So there definitely will be humans involved. In fact, there'll be more humans involved. There'll be more human contact, except it won't be if you look at like salary levels of doctors that are disproportionate to so many other professions, that will all go away in the future. And we'll have what I would like to call caregivers. Medical research. This is an area that's going to be, it's already happening, where you're already having, just for the use of connectivity, medical research consortia being formed. So instead of research being done at Tokai University Hospital or Heidelberg University Hospital or at Johns Hopkins, they're forming these research consortia from around the world, which allows for a lot of things to happen. First of all, it allows for a lot of different bright minds from different places to collaborate on the same research project, but it also allows for the research to continually happen 24 hours a day, right? Because while everyone's sleeping in one side of the world, everyone's awake on the other side of the world. So it's allowing for the best and the brightest from around the world to collaborate, but then for the work to keep going on, augmented by the powerful cognitive computing that's just getting better, stronger, and faster, overlaying with things like blockchain and cloud-based knowledge for everyone to share. So you're going to see quantum leaps in the volume and the relevance of research in the next 5, 10, and 15 years. The cost of healthcare. Pretty much everyone is predicting that the cost of healthcare over the next 10, 20, and 30 years will go up. They are all wrong, and I am right. Okay, the cost of healthcare will drop globally to less than 5% of GDP over the next 10, 20, or 30 years. The Western models, like the US 20% of GDP thing, that just needs to blow up, and it will. And that is a highly inefficient healthcare system. Healthcare is starting to slowly become process literate. It is starting to slowly engage standardization. Healthcare has not embraced technology properly at all, ever. So as we start to utilize technology properly, as we start to become process literate, as we start to learn from more efficient models like in Cuba or India or Africa or Singapore, and as those wages I talked about earlier normalized to reasonable levels, we will see a significant drop in healthcare spending. Also, there's a need for increased transparency. Globally, there's a lot of self-interest and corruption in healthcare that as we get onto the blockchain and become more transparent, that'll be forced out of the system as well. What? Did I do that? Yes. Yeah, I said that. Free healthcare. There will be free healthcare in our future, and that will come from, first of all, the cost of healthcare will drop. Right? We can't have 20% of GDP. That's not going to be free. So not the free American healthcare, the free, properly costed and structured healthcare that as we start to have personal ownership of our medical data, which you don't have right now. You don't own your medical data. You may think you do, but you don't. Right? So, but you will. Going forward, eventually, your medical data will be gathered and packaged in a format that you will own. As you own that, that has a value. And that will have an increasing value for research, for insurers. That anonymized, labeled, clean data, Annabelle, did I say that properly? She's here somewhere. That data will have a value. That data can then be monetized. As that data is monetized, exchanges will be formed, very similar to stock exchanges, where this data will then be bought and sold, so there will be a monetization of medical data that the market value of that medical data will exceed 5% of GDP. So the value of your medical data will be higher than the cost of healthcare delivery, hence my exciting free healthcare example. Will we have healthier humans? How many people think that we'll have healthier humans in the future? Wow. How many people don't think we're going to have healthier humans in the future? Yeah, I'm kind of in that camp myself. Humans will live longer, which is bad because they're going to be a lot more sicker people. But we're going to have better medicine, like pharmacogenomics and things like that, so that's a good thing. However, the environment is kind of getting worse and worse and worse, contrary to what Mr. Trump thinks. It's all going the wrong way. That's bad. However, designer foods may be less fattening, may be less harmful. That's good. However, people will be increasingly more sedentary, which is bad. However, we'll have increased access to care because of all my caregivers that I talked about earlier, which is good. So right now we're at about 50-50. The two things that are really freaking me out, one is we're on the verge of experiencing massive antibiotic failure. Recent tests of a lot of the rivers, for say in India, have found bacteria that do not respond to any antibiotic at all. And the situation is just getting worse each and every year. If all of our antibiotics stop working, we got a big problem. This is really, really, really what worries me, is a technology called CRISPR-Cas9, that will allow anyone with a little bit of science understanding to start getting into gene hacking, and at the point where they can release viral-based aerosol vectors that could wipe out major parts of the population of the planet, or actually all of us. So generally speaking, for those of you that thought we're not going to be much healthier, I'm kind of in that camp, so we need to work on that. So where's the innovation going to come from? You know, will the world's best diagnostic services come from the big cities? Well, obviously I'm setting you up for this. No, it's not going to happen. Ethiopia. This is in Mekelle, Ethiopia, 2 years ago. This is every radiologist in Ethiopia. There's 120 radiologists there. There's 100 million people. There are no medical specialists. For the past couple of years, we've been working there on programs for e-learning, for capacity building, using connectedness for resource optimization, establishing a national image library, and over the next 2 years we'll be looking at using artificial intelligence for supporting diagnostic imaging. Where else in the world is that happening? Nowhere. And a lot of this was supported by a grant from Dubai Expo 2020. So that's where the innovation is going to happen, is places like Ethiopia, Rwanda, places like that. I'm out of time. I'm happy and proud to live here in Dubai, which I consider to be pretty much the base camp for Healthcare 2.0. Thank you very much.